Pain doesn't come to defeat you. It comes to refine you. God lets you hurt so you can learn how to love deeper and stand taller. Life has a way of throwing us curveballs, doesn't it? One moment, everything seems okay, and then the next, we're left picking up the pieces after something or someone has hurt us. Whether it's betrayal, disappointment, loss, or heartache, we all go through painful experiences that shake us to the core. And when it happens, it's easy to wonder why. Why did this happen? If you're anything like me, you may have spent sleepless nights thinking about that question, trying to find an answer. You might even have questioned your faith, your worth, or the fairness of it all. But here's something I want you to consider today. What if that pain, that hurt, that thing you never saw coming, was actually part of a much bigger plan? What if it wasn't there to break you, but to build you? In the next few minutes, I want to share something with you that can change the way you look at pain. I want to talk about why God sometimes allows people to hurt you, and how that hurt isn't the end of the road. It's just the beginning of a transformation. If you've ever asked why things happen the way they do, if you've ever wondered how to make sense of the pain, I want you to stay with me. This isn't just about understanding why you've gone through what you've gone through. It's about understanding what that pain can teach you and how it can shape you into the person you're meant to be. So if you're ready to see your struggles in a new light, keep watching, because what you're about to hear might just change everything for you. Stay with me, because I promise there's something bigger waiting for you on the other side of this pain. You won't want to miss it. Number one, pain is part of the human experience. Something that we all experience at different points, in different ways. And it's not something that can be avoided. We try to avoid it. We try to protect ourselves from it. But no matter how hard we try, it's there. Pain is a companion that we cannot escape. And for many of us, it feels like it just comes out of nowhere. One moment everything feels fine, and the next we're hit with something we didn't see coming. Whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, or the pain of loss, it is something we will all encounter. Sometimes more than once, sometimes more than we think we can handle. You might find yourself asking, why? Why did this happen? Why did I have to go through this? It's a natural question, one that many of us ask when we find ourselves in the midst of pain. And I want to be clear here. I understand that pain doesn't feel like a blessing. It doesn't feel like something that can teach us anything when we're in the middle of it. When you're hurting, all you want is for it to stop. You want relief, you want to find a way out. And it's so easy to get caught up in the why me thoughts. We want to know why things happened the way they did. We want an explanation. We want to understand, because understanding somehow gives us control. And when we don't have control, we feel vulnerable. We feel powerless. But here's the thing. Pain isn't something that's meant to break you. It's not something God sends just to hurt you, just to knock you down. I know it might feel that way, but that's not the purpose of pain. Pain is part of the human experience. Now, I know that's not always an easy thing to hear when you're in the middle of a tough time. When you're in that moment of hurt, all you want is to get away from it. But here's the truth. We don't grow without pain. It's the hard times that shape us. Pain forces us to face things we otherwise wouldn't. It forces us to look at the areas of our life that need attention, the places where we need to change, and the things we need to let go of. It challenges our ideas. It tests our limits, and it pushes us out of our comfort zones. Without it, we would stay stagnant. We would never grow. Think about it for a second. When you look back at your life, some of the most defining moments, the times when you grew the most, were probably not the times when everything was easy and comfortable. No, it was the struggles, the moments of hardship that really shaped you into who you are today. Without those struggles, you wouldn't have the strength you have now. You wouldn't have the resilience, the wisdom, the clarity. You wouldn't have become the person you are meant to be. I know it's difficult. Pain has a way of making us feel like we're stuck, like we're never going to get out of it. When you're in the middle of a rough time, it can feel like the world is caving in around you. And maybe it's something you didn't expect, a betrayal, a loss, a failure. Whatever it is, it's natural to feel overwhelmed. But I want you to know this. Just because you're going through pain doesn't mean you're being punished. Pain is part of your purpose. I know that might be hard to understand right now, but let me explain. Every single person who has ever accomplished something meaningful in life has faced pain. Pain is often the catalyst for change. It forces us to reevaluate things, to look inside ourselves, and to make adjustments. Without pain, we don't evolve. Without pain, we stay comfortable. And when we're comfortable, we don't grow. God doesn't cause our pain just to see us suffer. He doesn't bring pain into our lives to watch us hurt. But pain is often the tool that pushes us toward the purpose we were meant for. It's the thing that challenges us to become stronger, to become more compassionate, to become wiser. And believe me, I know it doesn't feel that way when you're in the middle of it. It doesn't feel like there's anything good that can come from it. But every struggle, every setback, every painful moment has the potential to bring you closer to the person you're meant to be. Sometimes, pain opens our eyes to things we didn't see before. Sometimes it's the wake-up call. We need to realize that we need to change our direction, to make a different choice, or to stop running from the things we've been avoiding. I'm not saying that pain is easy. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. But what I am saying is that pain can be a powerful teacher, if we allow it to be. When we look at our pain as a lesson, when we choose to learn from it, it transforms the experience. It no longer becomes something that breaks us. It becomes something that builds us. Pain teaches us to be patient. It teaches us to be resilient. It teaches us to trust ourselves and trust in God's plan for us, even when we don't understand what that plan is. And yes, sometimes we have to face the fact that pain doesn't always make sense. We don't always know why things happen the way they do. But even in those moments when we don't have answers, we can choose to keep going. We can choose to trust that God has a purpose for us, that the struggles we face are not without reason. The pain you're going through right now is not meaningless. It's shaping you, preparing you for something bigger. You may not see it today, but I promise you, it's there. I also want to remind you that it's okay to feel the pain. It's okay to hurt. You don't have to put on a brave face and pretend everything's fine. You're allowed to grieve. You're allowed to feel the weight of the world, but don't stay there. Don't let the pain define you. Use it to propel you forward. Use it as fuel to push you toward your purpose. Every day, every single day, you're getting stronger. You're becoming more capable. You're becoming more prepared for what's to come. Remember, you've already been through pain before. You've already faced tough times and come out on the other side. You have the strength within you to make it through this. Pain doesn't last forever. And once you've come through it, once you've learned what you needed to learn, you'll realize just how much it has prepared you for the life that's waiting for you. So take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Keep going. Keep pushing. You have everything inside you to get through this, and you'll come out on the other side stronger than you ever thought possible. Keep faith in the process, and remember, pain is part of the journey, and it's shaping you into the person you are meant to be. Number 2, struggles shape you into who you are. It doesn't leave you the same. And that's a tough thing to accept, because most people just want to get through it. They want to survive it. They want to go back to how things were before. But let me tell you something. Pain has a way of molding you, of shaping you into someone different. And whether that person is stronger or weaker, better or bitter, that's up to you. When you go through struggles, it feels personal. It feels unfair. It feels like the world is against you. You look around and you wonder why it had to happen to you, why life had to throw this weight on your shoulders, why God allowed people to hurt you, why you had to deal with loss, betrayal, disappointment. And that's a normal feeling. That's a human reaction. But here's something I want you to think about. Look back at your life. Think about the hardest things you've been through. The times when you felt lost, broken, unsure if you'd ever recover. Now ask yourself this. Did those struggles leave you the same, or did they change you? Because that's what struggle does. It shapes you. It teaches you things you wouldn't have learned any other way. It forces you to see yourself differently, to see life differently. And yes, I know when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like it's doing anything good. It just feels like pain. But let me tell you, some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who have been through the most. You don't become wise from an easy life. You don't build strength by avoiding hardship. You don't grow if everything always goes your way. Struggle is what forces you to evolve. It's what separates the people who stay stuck in the past from the ones who rise above it. Think about it. If everything in life was comfortable, if everything was handed to you, would you ever change? Would you ever improve? Would you ever push yourself to be better? Probably not. Because comfort doesn't demand anything from you. It lets you stay the same. It keeps you where you are. But struggle pushes you forward. Struggle forces you to adapt, to find new ways to survive, to become someone you never thought you could be. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds great in theory, but what about the pain? What about the nights when you can't sleep because of what someone did to you? What about the days when you feel like you're barely holding on? I get it. Struggle hurts. It makes you feel isolated. It makes you question things you never thought you would. And that's why so many people let it break them. They let it turn them bitter. They let it steal their joy, their trust, their hope. But that doesn't have to be you. You can decide right now that no matter how hard this gets, you won't let it destroy you. You won't let it take away your faith in yourself. You won't let it define you as a victim. You are not what happened to you. You are not the pain someone else caused you. You are not the mistakes you made in the past. You are who you choose to become after all of it. And that's the real test, isn't it? Not whether or not you struggle, because we all do, but whether or not you let that struggle turn you into someone you're proud of. The truth is, every challenge you face is shaping you into something greater. Every difficult season is teaching you something you wouldn't have learned in comfort. Every person who hurt you, every setback, every disappointment, it's all part of the process of becoming stronger, wiser, more resilient. I know it's hard to see it right now. I know when you're in the middle of it, you just want it to stop. But listen to me. If you keep going, if you refuse to let this break you, one day you're going to look back and you're going to understand why this had to happen. You're going to see how it pushed you into a new chapter, how it prepared you for something bigger. So don't give up. Don't let the struggle convince you that you're not going to make it. Don't let the pain tell you that you're not strong enough. Because you are. You've already survived things you never thought you would. You've already proven that you can endure. The real question is, what are you going to do with everything you've been through? Are you going to let it hold you back? Are you going to use it as fuel? Are you going to sit in your pain, or are you going to rise from it? The choice is yours, and I hope you choose to keep going. I hope you choose to see this struggle as something that is making you better, not something that is breaking you. Because one day you'll look back and you'll realize this wasn't the end. This was the beginning of something greater. Number 3, not everyone is meant to stay in your life. One of the hardest things to accept in life is that not everyone is meant to stay. And that's tough, isn't it? Especially when you give someone your trust, your time, your love, only to watch them walk away as if none of it mattered. It hurts. It makes you question yourself. It makes you wonder if you did something wrong, if you could have changed the outcome, if you could have done something, anything, to make them stay. But here's the truth. Not everyone is supposed to be in your life forever. Some people come into your life for a reason, and when that reason is fulfilled, they leave. Some people are lessons, some are stepping stones, some are warnings. And if you try to hold on to people who aren't meant to stay, you only end up hurting yourself more. I know it's hard to hear that when you're in pain. When someone leaves your life, especially someone you cared about, it feels personal. It feels like a rejection of everything you are. And maybe they hurt you on their way out. Maybe they betrayed you. Maybe they left without an explanation, without closure, without looking back. That kind of pain stays with you. It lingers in your mind, making you replay every moment, trying to make sense of it all. But let me tell you something important. Just because someone walks away doesn't mean you weren't enough. It doesn't mean you weren't worthy. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. Sometimes people leave because they were never meant to stay. And sometimes their absence is exactly what you needed, even if you can't see it right now. Think about the people who left your life in the past. Maybe at the time you thought you wouldn't be able to move on without them. Maybe you felt lost, broken, abandoned. But look at where you are now. You survived. You grew. You found new people, new opportunities, new strength you didn't know you had. And that's because life has a way of removing people who no longer align with where you're supposed to go. And yes, I know, some people leave in ways that hurt more than others. Some break your trust. Some take advantage of your kindness. Some say things that stick with you, that make you doubt yourself. And that's what makes it so painful. You weren't just losing the person. You were losing the version of yourself that believed in them, that trusted them, that saw a future with them. But here's what you have to remember. Just because someone is in your life doesn't mean they belong there forever. Some people were only meant to be part of your story for a little while. Some people were meant to teach you something and then move on. And sometimes the biggest lesson they teach you is how to let go. That's not easy. Letting go is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do, because when someone walks away, it leaves a space, it leaves a silence. And it's in that silence that all your doubts and fears come rushing in. But don't mistake that emptiness for something bad, because in that emptiness, there is room for something new. The people who are meant to stay in your life will stay. You won't have to beg them. You won't have to chase them. You won't have to prove your worth to them. The ones who truly belong in your life will be there, not because you forced them to stay, but because they want to be there. And when you realize that, when you finally let go of the people who were never meant to stay, you'll feel something you never expected. Freedom. The freedom to focus on yourself. The freedom to grow. The freedom to surround yourself with people who actually deserve you. I know it hurts right now. I know it feels like you lost something you can't replace. But trust me when I say this. Life will bring you the right people when you're ready. But first you have to make space. You have to let go of the ones who weren't meant to stay, so that the ones who are meant to be there can find you. So stop chasing. Stop begging. Stop questioning your worth just because someone didn't see it. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone didn't recognize it. You are still enough. You are still worthy. And one day you're going to look back and be grateful that the wrong people walked away, because that's what made room for the right ones to enter. Keep your heart open. Keep believing in yourself. The right people will come. And when they do, you'll understand why everyone else had to leave. Number 4. Forgiveness is strength, not weakness. Especially when someone hurt you deeply. When they broke your trust. When they did something you never expected. It's easy to hold on to that pain. It's easy to let anger and resentment take over. It's easy to replay the moment over and over again in your mind, thinking about what you should have said, what you should have done differently, or how unfair it was. But here's something I want you to think about. What does holding on to that pain actually do for you? What do you gain by carrying it around? Does it fix the past? Does it make you feel better? Does it bring justice? No. What it does is keep you trapped. It keeps you stuck in the same pain, the same anger, the same bitterness. And let me tell you, that's no way to live. A lot of people think that forgiveness is about letting the other person off the hook. That if you forgive, it means what they did was okay. That it means they won, but that's not what forgiveness is at all. Forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of what happened. It's about choosing to stop letting that pain control your life. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Some pain cuts so deep that it feels impossible to let go. Some betrayals shake you so much that you don't even know who to trust anymore. And I get it. You're human. You have feelings. You have memories. And when someone does you wrong, it stays with you. But here's what you need to understand. Holding on to that pain doesn't make things right. It only hurts you more. Think about it. The person who hurt you, they might not even be thinking about what they did. They've moved on. They're living their life. But you're the one still carrying the weight of it. You're the one still feeling the pain. And that's why forgiveness is so powerful. Because the moment you decide to forgive, you take that power back. You decide that their actions will no longer control your emotions, your thoughts, your peace. Now, some people might say, but they don't deserve my forgiveness. And maybe they don't. Maybe what they did was truly awful. Maybe they never apologized. Maybe they never even acknowledged the pain they caused. But listen to me. Your peace is more important than their punishment. Your growth is more important than your grudge. Your future is more important than your past. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It doesn't mean letting them back into your life. What it means is that you refuse to let that pain have power over you anymore. You refuse to live in anger, to live in bitterness, to let what they did define your life. And I know what you might be thinking. How do I forgive when the pain is still there? And the truth is, forgiveness is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Some days you might feel like you've let it go, and then something reminds you of what happened, and the pain comes rushing back. That's normal. That's part of healing. But every time that pain comes back, you have a choice. You can feed it, you can hold on to it, or you can remind yourself that you are choosing peace, that you are choosing to move forward. Think about your life for a second. Think about all the things you want to accomplish. Think about the kind of person you want to be. Do you really want to carry anger and resentment with you everywhere you go? Do you really want your past to define your future? Or do you want to be free? Because that's what forgiveness gives you. It gives you freedom. Freedom from the weight of the past. Freedom to move forward without carrying that pain. Freedom to live your life fully without being tied to what someone else did. Some of the strongest people in the world are the ones who have learned to forgive, because it takes real strength to let go. It takes real strength to say, I will not let this break me. It takes real strength to choose peace over pain. And that strength is in you. No one is saying it will be easy. No one is saying you'll wake up tomorrow and suddenly feel no pain. But if you start the process today, if you make the decision to release that anger, to let go of that bitterness, then every day after that, you will feel a little lighter. You will feel a little freer. And one day you'll wake up and that pain won't have power over you anymore. One day you'll realize that forgiveness didn't change the past. It changed you. It made you stronger. It made you wiser. It made you free. And that is the greatest victory you could ever have. Number 5. Your struggles make you more compassionate. I understand that life can be incredibly difficult at times. Sometimes it feels as though you're walking through this world with a weight on your shoulders, trying to push forward while everyone around you seems to be in a better place. We all go through struggles, and those struggles often feel unbearable. But one of the most profound things that can come from these experiences is the deepening of your compassion for others. When you go through hardship, when you face pain, it changes you, it shapes you, and it makes you see the world differently. You begin to understand that everyone is going through something. We all have our battles, and we all have our scars, whether we show them or not. Sometimes we judge others, sometimes we get frustrated with them, or sometimes we just don't understand their actions or behaviors. But the reality is, if you take the time to really look at people, you'll see that they're just like you. They have their own struggles, their own pain, their own fears. It's easy to be cold and distant when you've never been in someone else's shoes. But once you've walked through the fire yourself, once you've felt the sting of betrayal or the sorrow of loss, you begin to recognize those feelings in others. And that recognition, that understanding, opens up a whole new way of relating to the world. You start to approach people with empathy instead of judgment. You begin to forgive more easily, to give more freely, to love more deeply. The pain you've gone through has made you softer, more aware of the emotional battles others are fighting. It's hard to imagine that pain can have a positive effect on your character, but it truly can. It's not that pain is something you would ever wish for, but in the end, it teaches you something you can't learn in any other way. It teaches you that life isn't about avoiding the bad stuff. It's about how you respond to it. It teaches you that the world doesn't owe you anything, and that people are going to hurt you sometimes. But what you choose to do with that hurt can either make you bitter or make you better. I want to share with you something that has stuck with me over the years. I've found that the most compassionate people I know have gone through some of the hardest things. They have faced real struggles. They've been let down, they've been hurt, and they've been broken. But because of those experiences, they've learned to extend grace to others. They don't look at the world through the same lens as someone who's never experienced pain. They look at others with understanding and patience. Now, I want you to take a second and think about your own life. Think about the pain you've gone through. Maybe it's a personal loss, a broken relationship, a financial struggle, or something else that weighs on your heart. And I want you to ask yourself, how has that shaped you? Has it made you more understanding of others who are going through their own battles? Has it made you kinder, gentler, more willing to listen? Because that's the power of struggle. That's the power of pain. It doesn't just affect you. It affects the way you interact with the world. It can turn you into someone who offers support instead of judgment, someone who listens instead of criticizes, someone who gives a helping hand instead of turning away. Think about it. The people who have the biggest impact on the world, the ones who make a real difference, they aren't the ones who have it all together. They're not the ones who have never faced a setback or never felt hurt. The ones who make a difference are the ones who have faced the hardest struggles and have come out on the other side with a heart full of compassion. when you choose to see the pain in others, when you choose to understand rather than condemn, you unlock the power to truly connect with people. You can change lives with a kind word, with a listening ear, or with a shoulder to lean on. That's what compassion does. It builds bridges where there were once walls. It creates bonds that can't be broken by any hardship. So what does this all mean for you? It means that the pain you've experienced, the hurt that you've felt, it's not wasted. It has a purpose. It has shaped you into a person who can now understand the pain of others and offer them the same grace and compassion that you needed when you were hurting. That's how we grow as people. We grow by recognizing that pain is not the end of the story. It's just the beginning. It's what you choose to do with it that defines you. You can choose to let it harden you, or you can choose to let it open your heart to others. I want you to think about this. There's someone in your life right now who is going through something difficult. Maybe they haven't shared it with you yet, but you can sense it. And because you've been through your own struggles, because you know what it feels like to hurt, you're in the perfect position to be there for them. You can offer them the kindness and understanding they need, just like someone did for you when you were in a dark place. This is how we heal the world. This is how we lift each other up, not by staying in our pain, but by using it to connect with others in a real and meaningful way. You have the power to change lives, starting with your own. So don't let the pain you've experienced go to waste. Let it be the thing that makes you more compassionate, more loving, and more willing to make a difference in someone else's life. Number 6. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Not everyone is meant to have a front row seat in your life. And that's a hard lesson to learn, isn't it? Because when you care about people, when you trust them, when you let them into your world, you expect them to stay. You expect them to be good to you. You expect them to treat you the way you treat them. But the truth is, not everyone deserves that kind of access to you. Not everyone should have a place in your life. And not everyone should have the privilege of knowing everything about you. That's a tough reality to accept, because we want to believe the best in people. We want to believe that if we're loyal to them, they'll be loyal to us. That if we're honest with them, they'll be honest with us. That if we love them, they'll love us back. But life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes the people you trust the most will be the ones who hurt you the worst. Sometimes the people you thought would be with you forever will walk away like you never mattered. And when that happens, it shakes you. It makes you question everything. But listen to me. Losing people is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's a blessing. Sometimes God removes people from your life because they are not meant to be part of your journey. And instead of fighting to hold on, instead of chasing after people who don't value you, you need to learn to let them go. You see, not everyone is meant to be in your inner circle. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a season. Some people come into your life to teach you something. And once that lesson is learned, their role is over. Some people come to show you what you don't want, what you don't need, and who you should never become. And the moment you start accepting that, the moment you stop expecting everyone to stay, is the moment you start finding peace. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to force relationships that are no longer serving them, trying to hold on to friendships that have run their course, trying to keep people in their life who have already checked out. And the more you do that, the more you drain yourself. The more you keep trying to prove your worth to people who don't see it, the more exhausted you become. Let me tell you something. You do not have to beg for love. You do not have to convince someone to stay. You do not have to chase people who are not meant for you. The right people, the people who truly care, will make an effort. They will show up. They will respect you. They will appreciate you. And they will value you. And those are the people who deserve to be in your life. But the ones who don't, the ones who only come around when they need something, the ones who disappear when times get tough, the ones who talk behind your back but smile in your face, let them go. Don't give them a front row seat to your life. Don't give them access to your dreams, your plans, your heart, because some people are not clapping for you. Some people are only there to watch, to take advantage, to bring you down. And if you keep allowing them in, you are only hurting yourself. I know it's hard. I know it's painful. But sometimes You have to love people from a distance. Sometimes you have to close doors that no longer lead anywhere. Sometimes you have to walk away, not because you don't care, but because you care too much about yourself, to keep letting the wrong people drain your energy. Think about your life. Think about the people you surround yourself with. Are they lifting you up, or are they bringing you down? Are they encouraging you, or are they discouraging you? Are they truly happy for you, or are they secretly hoping you fail? Because who you allow into your life will determine a lot. The wrong people will keep you stuck. They will distract you, drain you, and destroy your peace. But the right people, they will push you to grow. They will challenge you to be better. They will support you, even when no one else does. You have to learn to protect your space, protect your peace, protect your energy. Stop giving everyone access to you. Stop letting people who don't deserve a front row seat dictate how you feel, what you do, and where you go in life. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. Your heart is valuable. And it's time to start acting like it. Start paying attention to who is really there for you. Start noticing who shows up when you have nothing to offer. Start being honest about who is adding to your life and who is just taking from it. And when you see it clearly, when you realize who truly belongs and who doesn't, have the courage to let go. Because the moment you do, the moment you start making room for the right people, your life will change. You'll feel lighter, you'll feel stronger, and you'll finally have the peace you've been searching for. Number 7. Pain exposes fake friends and real ones. It's not easy to see the truth about people, but pain has a way of exposing it. When everything is going well, when life is easy, when you have something to offer, people will smile at you. They will act like they care. They will be there, calling you their friend, telling you they've got your back. But the moment you struggle, the moment you hit hard times, the moment you have nothing left to give, that's when you see the truth. That's when you find out who's real and who's not. It's a painful lesson, but it's one that everyone has to learn at some point. When you're winning, when you're shining, people will gather around you. They love the success. They love the energy. They love what you bring to the table. But when you fall, when you break, when you need them the most, some of those same people will disappear. They'll stop calling. They'll stop checking in. And worse, some of them will turn against you. Some of them will talk about you, judge you, and act like they were never by your side in the first place. And that hurts, doesn't it? It makes you question everything. It makes you wonder if you ever really had friends at all. It makes you feel alone, like maybe you were never as important to them as they were to you. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't a bad thing. As painful as it is, as much as it might break your heart, this is necessary. Because in the end, pain is the test that reveals the truth. Think about it. Would you rather live in a lie? Would you rather surround yourself with people who only pretend to care? Or would you rather go through a little bit of pain now and know exactly who is real and who isn't? Because the truth is, if someone walks away from you when times get hard, they were never truly with you in the first place. If someone switches up on you, if someone betrays you, if someone turns their back on you, then all they did was reveal what was inside them all along. The struggle didn't change them. It just exposed them. And that's why you should never be afraid of losing fake friends. You should never be afraid of seeing the truth. Because the people who are meant for you, the people who truly care, they don't leave when things get hard. They don't turn their backs when you fall. They don't disappear when you're at your lowest. They stay. They stand by your side. They check in. They support you. They help you get back up. And those are the people who matter. Those are the people who deserve your time, your energy, your loyalty. Not the ones who only stick around when things are easy, but the ones who stay when life gets hard. Not the ones who love the good times but run from the bad. So when life gets tough, when you go through pain, pay attention. Pay attention to who shows up and who disappears. Pay attention to who encourages you and who criticizes you. Pay attention to who checks in on you without needing anything in return. That's how you know. That's how you separate the real from the fake. And when you see it, when you finally understand who is really there for you, be grateful. Be grateful for the ones who stayed, and be grateful for the ones who left. Because either way, you won. Either way, you got exactly what you needed. You lost the people who were never meant for you, and you kept the ones who truly belong in your life. It's hard to go through that process. It's hard to watch people you cared about walk away. But I promise you, in the end, it's for the best. Because the right people, the ones who truly care, will never make you question where you stand with them. They won't just be there for the good times, they'll be there for all of it. And those are the people you build with. Those are the people you invest in. Those are the people you hold on to. Everyone else, let them go. Because if someone can walk away from you, let them. If someone can betray you, let them. If someone doesn't appreciate you, stop trying to prove your worth to them. You don't need fake love, fake loyalty, or fake friendships. You need real, and sometimes you have to go through the fire to find out who that is. Number 8. God uses pain to push you toward your purpose. When we face pain and hardship, we often ask ourselves the hardest question. Why is this happening? We wonder why God allows us to suffer, to go through the things we go through, especially when it feels like we're already carrying so much. It seems unfair, doesn't it? Life can feel overwhelming at times, and the last thing we want is to face more challenges, more difficulty, more pain. But what if I told you that every ounce of pain, every challenge, every setback is pushing you towards something bigger, something greater than you could ever imagine? You see, sometimes we can't understand the purpose of the pain when we're in the middle of it. It hurts, it's uncomfortable, it's frustrating. We just want it to stop. But in those moments, we need to remember one important thing. God is always working behind the scenes. Even when we can't see it, even when it doesn't make sense, He's using that pain, that struggle, that hardship to mold us, to shape us, to guide us toward the purpose He has for us. The truth is, pain isn't just something that happens to us. It's something that pushes us. It pushes us beyond our limits. It stretches us. It forces us to grow, to evolve, to step into the person we are meant to become. God doesn't cause our pain for no reason. He allows it because He knows it's the only way we'll become who we need to be. And I know that might be hard to hear, because when you're in the middle of it, you just want it to end. But God isn't punishing you. He's preparing you. Think about the times in your life when you've gone through something difficult. In hindsight, those moments often stand out as the ones that shaped you the most. The heartbreak, the failure, the loss, the moments when you didn't think you could go on, but you did. And now looking back, you see that those were the moments that built your strength, that gave you wisdom, that gave you the resilience you have today. Pain doesn't just hurt, it changes you. It refines you. It gives you a deeper understanding of life, of yourself, and of the world around you. But here's the thing. God doesn't waste anything. He doesn't waste our pain. He doesn't waste our suffering. It might feel like the world is falling apart, that nothing is going right, that everything is against you. But every step, every struggle, every challenge is a part of His plan for you. Even the things that don't make sense right now, even the things that you're not able to explain, are leading you towards something far greater than you could ever imagine. Maybe you're in a season of pain right now. Maybe you feel like you're stuck in a storm that's never going to end. But I want you to understand this. Your purpose is on the other side of this storm. The person you're becoming is being shaped through this pain. And if you can just hold on a little longer, if you can just keep moving forward, if you can trust in the process, you will eventually see why God allowed this pain to enter your life. You will see that it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You see, pain has a way of stripping away everything that doesn't belong. It takes away the things that are holding you back, the things that are keeping you stuck, the things that are distracting you from your purpose. It forces you to face the truth about yourself. And sometimes that's exactly what we need. Sometimes we need to be broken down in order to be built up. Sometimes we need to be humbled in order to learn humility. Sometimes we need to experience loss in order to understand the value of what we have. Pain has a way of clearing away the distractions and refocusing us on what really matters. But more than that, pain can bring us closer to God. It can draw us near to Him in a way that success and comfort never will. When we're in the middle of a struggle, when we don't know how we're going to make it through, that's when we lean on Him the most. That's when we cry out for help. That's when we pray harder than we ever have before. And in those moments, God is there. He is right beside you, holding you, guiding you, and whispering to your heart, "You are not alone. I've got you." And when you look back on your life, when you see how far you've come, you'll realize that those moments of pain were the ones that brought you closest to Him. They were the moments when you grew the most. They were the moments when you learned to trust, when you learned to rely on His strength. when you learned that you don't have to do this alone. Pain isn't just a test of your strength. It's a test of your faith. It's a test of your belief that there's something greater out there, something bigger than yourself, and that even in the hardest times, God is working behind the scenes to bring you closer to your purpose. You might not see it now, but the things that are breaking you are the same things that will make you stronger. The struggles you're facing are the same struggles that will lead you to your destiny. And when you finally reach that place, when you see the bigger picture, you'll understand why God allowed the pain. You'll understand that it wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to build you up. So if you're in the middle of a struggle right now, if you're going through something that feels like too much to bear, I want you to remember this. Pain is not the end. It's just the beginning. It's the beginning of something bigger, something better, something that God has prepared for you. You might not understand it now, but I promise you, when you look back, you'll see that everything you went through was worth it. God didn't allow the pain to hurt you. He allowed it to help you. He allowed it to push you toward the person you are becoming. He allowed it to build your character, to strengthen your faith, to refine your heart. And when you step into your purpose, when you walk into the life He has prepared for you, you'll see that the pain was just a part of the process. It was the fire that purified you, the storm that strengthened you, and the struggle that shaped you into the person you are today. And that person, the person you've become through this pain, is going to do incredible things. Number 9, it's not about why, it's about what's next. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's falling apart. You've hit a roadblock, you've faced a setback, and you're left wondering, why is this happening to me? The world feels heavy, and you can't seem to find the strength to keep going. It's easy in these moments to get stuck in the why. Why did this happen? Why am I struggling so much? Why do I feel like I'm not moving forward? These are the questions we all ask ourselves at some point. But I'm here to tell you something important. It's not about why, it's about what's next. When we're stuck in a difficult situation, it's tempting to focus on the past, to dwell on the why. Why did I lose my job? Why did that person hurt me? Why didn't things work out the way I wanted them to? We replay those moments over and over in our minds, asking ourselves the same questions, hoping for some answer that will make sense of the pain. But the truth is, the answers don't always come, and that's okay. It's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to not understand everything that's happening to you. The real question isn't why, it's what's next. What are you going to do now? What's your next move? How are you going to respond to this challenge, this setback, this pain? That's where your power lies, in how you respond to the situation you're in. Think about it for a moment. When things go wrong, when life throws a curveball, you can either let it define you or you can let it refine you. You have the choice. You can stay stuck in the past, in the pain, in the why, and never move forward. Or you can choose to look ahead, to look at the bigger picture, and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What's the lesson here? What can I do to move forward? The second choice, the choice to focus on what's next, is the one that leads to growth, to progress, to a future that's brighter than you could have ever imagined. I get it. Sometimes the what's next feels like an impossible question to answer. You may feel lost, you may feel confused, you may feel like everything around you is falling apart, and you can't see the way out. But I want to encourage you right now to take a step back and breathe. You don't have to have all the answers right now. But you do need to decide that you're not going to stay stuck. You do need to decide that you're going to move forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. The road ahead may not always be clear, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep going. Even when you don't know where you're going, every step you take brings you closer to where you need to be. Life isn't about knowing every single detail about the future. It's about having the courage to take that next step, even when you don't have all the answers. And here's the thing. When you focus on what's next, you start to shift your perspective. You stop seeing the challenges as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to learn, to become stronger. When you ask yourself, what's next? You take control of your future. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become an active participant in your own story. And that is incredibly powerful. There's a power in taking action, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when you're overwhelmed. Taking action, even small steps, creates momentum. And momentum is what keeps you going. When things get tough, When you're focused on what's next, you don't have time to dwell on the past. You don't have time to stay stuck in the why. You're too busy looking ahead, planning your next move, preparing yourself for what's to come. But let me tell you something important. The what's next doesn't always have to be a big, grand, life-changing move. Sometimes what's next is simply getting up after a setback. It's doing the things you know you should do, even when you don't feel like it. It's showing up day after day and doing the work, even when the results aren't immediate. It's not about making huge leaps forward. It's about making progress. No matter how small, every step forward, no matter how insignificant it may seem, is a step towards something greater. In the moments when you feel overwhelmed or lost, I want you to remember that moving forward doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know exactly how things are going to work out, but you do need to trust that they will. You do need to trust that as long as you keep moving forward, you'll eventually get where you need to be. And sometimes the process of moving forward is just about healing. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about doing the small things that bring you peace, that bring you joy, that bring you strength. It's about giving yourself permission to take a break when you need it. It's about knowing that it's okay to not have all the answers right away. Just because you don't have it figured out doesn't mean you're not on the right path. Sometimes what's next is simply giving yourself grace and the time you need to heal and grow. In fact, I'd argue that the most important part of moving forward is knowing that it's not a straight line. There will be ups and downs. There will be days when you feel like you've made progress, and there will be days when you feel like you've taken 2 steps back. That's okay. Life is not a linear journey. It's full of twists and turns. And the key is not to get discouraged when things don't go according to plan. The key is to keep moving forward, even when the road is uncertain, even when the path is unclear. The what's next is not about having a perfect, flawless journey. It's about staying committed to the process. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, and trusting that everything will fall into place. You may not see it right now, but every step you take is bringing you closer to the person you are meant to be, to the life you are meant to live. So my friend, I want you to stop focusing on the why and start focusing on the what's next. Stop asking yourself why things are happening the way they are. Start asking yourself, what can I do now to move forward? Take the next step, no matter how small it is. Keep pushing forward. And remember that each step, each decision, each action is leading you to something bigger, something better, something greater than you could have ever imagined. And even when the road ahead seems uncertain, trust that it will all come together in the end. Number 10. God uses pain to push you towards your purpose. We all go through pain in our lives. It's part of the experience. Some of us are lucky enough to live a life without a lot of hardship. But for most of us, we know what it's like to face challenges that break us down and test us in ways we never imagined. Whether it's losing someone close to us, facing rejection, being misunderstood, or just struggling to find our way in a world that seems uncertain, pain has a way of finding its way into our lives. But what if I told you that God doesn't just let these painful things happen to you for no reason? What if I told you that sometimes pain is actually pushing you towards something greater, towards your purpose? It's a difficult thing to understand when you're in the midst of it. When you're sitting in your own pain, it's hard to see beyond the moment. You feel the weight of the hurt, the disappointment, the frustration. And in those moments, it's so easy to wonder, why is this happening to me? You question God. You wonder why He's allowing you to go through this. It feels unfair. You feel lost. You feel alone. And in the midst of that, it can be hard to believe that there is a purpose to it all. But I want to share something with you today that I hope will change your perspective. God uses pain to push you towards your purpose. You might be thinking, how could pain be part of God's plan for me? How could suffering possibly lead me towards something good? I get it. It doesn't make sense. But I promise you, God doesn't waste pain. He doesn't allow it just for the sake of it. Every bit of suffering, every challenge, every trial you go through is shaping you, molding you, and ultimately pushing you toward the life He has designed for you. When I look back at the hardest moments of my life, I can see now that those were the moments that grew me the most. They were the moments that prepared me for what was to come. They were the moments that gave me the strength I needed to face the next challenge, to help others, to walk in my purpose. I didn't see it at the time, of course, When I was in the middle of it, all I could feel was the hurt, the confusion, the sadness. But with time, I've come to realize that pain was never there to break me. It was there to build me. You see, God allows pain into our lives because it's in those moments that we learn the most. It's in those moments that we realize who we truly are. Pain forces us to confront parts of ourselves that we might have been hiding from. It reveals our weaknesses, but it also reveals our strength. It teaches us resilience. It teaches us patience. And it teaches us to trust in something bigger than ourselves. When you're going through pain, you might feel like it's going to swallow you up. You might feel like you'll never get through it. But I want you to remember something. You've made it through every tough situation you've ever been in. And I'm not just talking about the little stuff. I'm talking about the big moments, the life-changing moments, the ones that made you question everything, the ones that made you wonder if you would ever be the same again. You made it through, and you will make it through again. Pain doesn't define you, it refines you. Now you might be asking, what if I don't see the purpose in my pain right now? What if I'm still stuck in the middle of it? I understand. There are times when you just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's okay. It's okay to not have all the answers. But here's the thing. You don't have to see the whole picture to keep moving forward. You don't have to understand every single thing about your pain in order to trust that it's leading you somewhere. What's important is that you keep going. You keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when it feels like you're walking through mud. And over time, the purpose behind your pain will start to reveal itself. You might find that your pain is leading you toward a deeper understanding of yourself. It might be pushing you to become stronger, more compassionate, or more resilient. It might be helping you develop qualities that will serve you in the future. The pain you're feeling today might be the very thing that prepares you for the purpose that's waiting for you tomorrow. God uses pain to teach us lessons we couldn't learn any other way. Think about it. How many of us would ever learn patience if we never had to wait for something? How many of us would ever learn compassion if we never experienced hurt ourselves? How many of us would ever develop resilience if we didn't face obstacles that seemed impossible to overcome? It's through our struggles that we become who we're meant to be. But it's not just about what we learn in the moment. It's about how our experiences with pain shape the way we interact with the world around us. When you've been through something difficult, you gain a new perspective. You start to see the world differently. You start to understand other people's struggles in a way you never could before. And that's powerful. That's the kind of experience that can make you a source of strength for others. That's the kind of experience that can help you lift someone else up when they're going through their own pain. And in doing so, you'll fulfill the very purpose God has for your life. When you look at your pain from that perspective, it changes everything. It's no longer something to run from. It's something to embrace. It's something to learn from. It's something to use to help you grow into the person you're meant to be. And when you do that, you start to see the bigger picture. You start to see how everything in your life is connected. How every moment, every experience, every struggle is part of a much larger plan that's unfolding before you. You don't have to understand everything right now. You don't have to know why things are happening the way they are. But I want you to trust this. Your pain is not in vain. It's not random. It's not without purpose. It's a part of your story, a part of your journey, and it's leading you to something greater than you could have ever imagined. So the next time you're facing pain, instead of asking why it's happening, try asking, what is this teaching me? What is this preparing me for? How is this pushing me toward my purpose? It might not always be clear right away, but if you keep asking those questions and keep trusting the process, you'll begin to see how the pieces come together. God uses pain to push you toward your purpose. And though it may not always feel like it, you are exactly where you need to be. So keep going, keep trusting, keep learning. And when you look back, you'll see that every moment, every hardship, every tear was part of the beautiful journey that brought you to the purpose you were always meant to fulfill.